Today in this video, I am going to go over the 5 basic senses that you have and the 9 basic needs that you have. You and me have these basic needs and these basic senses. Every single one of us have these. Unless you're not a human, then you might want to skip this video. But if you are human, then you're going to want to watch this. This is going to be a very educational, a very informative video today. So let's get right into it. Us humans, we have 5 basic senses. Now, you were probably taught this sometime in school. You were taught about these senses that we have and the function of these senses. But today I want to talk about it in a little bit of a different sense. I want to add to maybe what you learned in school about it. And I want us to look at this in a different light. So with these 5 basic senses, there's 4 things that we need to know about them, about each one of them. We need to know that they are a blessing, because making a video like this, I do not know who's watching, but thinking about people in this world, there are people out there that they can't smell, they can't taste, they can't feel to touch, they can't hear, and they can't see. So if you have all 5 of those, it is a rich blessing. And not only is it a rich blessing, but you should be grateful for it. And I forgot an E, sorry about that. But you should be grateful to God that you are blessed enough to have all 5 of those senses working. It is a blessing. We should be grateful. And we have these 5 senses for our enjoyment. Think about it a second. Let's think about all of these. Smell. Think about maybe you love the smell of your partner or your spouse's cologne or perfume. Think about smelling a beautiful flower. Think about on Thanksgiving Day, you can smell all the delicious food cooking and baking in the kitchen and how it just makes your mouth water. Think about all the great things that we smell. There are nasty things that we smell, but in a moment, I'm going to get into how that could be a good thing, how these senses are a built-in safety mechanism that we have. I'm going to get to that in just a second. But think about taste. If you can taste, think about all the amazing, all the delicious foods that we have in this life to eat. You know, I'm fortunate enough to taste good, and I like all the foods. I like sweet foods, I like salty foods, I like bitter foods, I like spicy foods. I like all the different types of tasting foods. They're delicious. So that's a blessing. And touch. This is more or less, this is for everybody. Everybody wants to feel and wants to touch. It feels good as a child getting a hug from your mom or your dad. It feels good getting a hug from a good friend of yours, getting a hug from one of your siblings, getting a hug or a pat on the back from a teacher or a manager or a coach giving you a sign of approval. It feels good to touch and to feel with our love partner, with your husband or your wife. It's very satisfying. And so that is a rich blessing, to be able to feel and to be able to touch. And of course, I think about hear. If you can hear me talk in this video. Everybody likes some kind of music. You can hear your favorite kind of music, and what a blessing that is. You can hear somebody that you love talking, somebody that you care about, maybe somebody that you missed, you haven't seen in a while, and before you seen them, you heard their voice, and it just gave you this awesome kind of feeling has overwhelmed you with a sense of joy and gladness. So hearing is very important. Hearing is a blessing. We should be grateful for that. And then last, see, vision. In the Bible, Jesus healed multiple people that were blind, that were not able to see. And if you read those accounts, you'll see how excited, how joyful, how grateful they were. They jumped up to their feet. They could see. They could see Jesus. They could see their friends, their family, the crowd, nature, all the beautiful things there is to see in this life. They were able to see. And some of these people were born that way, so they were never able to see. And they jumped up and down and they were shouting praise to God because of what Jesus did for them. So they were grateful. But I know that people have learned to deal with not being able to see, and they have been able to function on a very high level and live a very good life. But nevertheless, if you can see, that is a rich blessing. We see so many things in this life. You could see your loved ones, and that gives you joy. And you could see enough to go throughout your day and not stumble over things. And you can see, watch television, and you can look at the scenic, beautiful things in this planet that we have, the seasons and the beautiful things that we look at. And that's all a rich blessing because we can see. And so these are blessings. We're to be grateful for them. God gave us these for our pleasure, for our enjoyment. And the last element of these senses I want to talk about is these are built-in safety mechanisms. You may or may not have these senses or all of these senses, but if you do, then you know that it's also for your safety. And I'll give you a couple examples of what I mean by that. Smell. Your smell, you can smell if you go to get food from the fridge and it smells musty or rotten or moldy, then you know you shouldn't eat it. You're going to get sick. If you smell smoke or if you smell fire, you will know to take action. If you just say you smell some kind of chemical, maybe you're at your job and there was a big chemical spill, and you can smell that, and you can look around and notify people and see where the smell is coming from. So it's a safety mechanism. It's to protect us, to keep us safe. And all of these are that way. Taste is the same way. Particularly for eating, if you would bite into something, some kind of food or drink something, and it's not right, you would know right away. You would be able to taste the nasty taste of it. And when I think about touch, I think about the people that can't touch, can't feel per se. That comes in handy, for example, if something is really cold, or for heat per se. Your sensation in your limbs let you know when something's too hot. But if you can't sense, if you can't feel, you could get burned. You could get a first, second, or maybe even third degree burn and not even know it because you can't feel. So it's meant to help us from extreme colds, from extreme heats, to protect us from getting burnt or from getting harmed in that manner. Hearing. Hearing is a safety mechanism because, for example, say you are driving in the city or driving on the road and you hear sirens going off. Well, you know to take coverage. You know to pull over, or you know to stop your car, or to look out for where are the sirens. Is it an ambulance? Is it a fire truck? Is it a police? Who is it? And I think about this in a lot of ways. Someone could shout out in a particular instance and say fire, or say look out, or say, whatever it might be, say far if it's on the golf course. And you know by hearing that to take coverage, to be alarmed. And I think about it, say, God forbid, but say if you would be in the woods, or you'd be someplace, and you would hear a tree start to fall, or you would hear thunder, or you'd hear maybe that a storm's coming, or you'd hear a wild animal. That is a mechanism to take guard, to the fight or flight, to climb up a tree, to seek shelter, to run for your life. Whatever it might be, it's to keep you safe that you can hear. And then the last one is see, and this is pretty easy to see. Anything that you could see that looks potentially dangerous is a way for you to take coverage. It could be somebody coming after you, a person, an animal. It could be weather elements. There's a lot of things that could be dangerous in this life that our eyes can see it coming from up ahead, and we can be protective and make a decision to get out of the way of danger, to get out of dodge, so to speak. So those are the 5 senses and how we should feel about them. Now let's dive into our 9 needs. So us humans, like I said, unless you're not a human, unless you're an alien, then this doesn't go for you. But if you are a human, then you have 9 basic needs. You have 9 basic needs. And the first one is oxygen. That is the most abundant element that our body needs, is oxygen. If you go 3 to 4 minutes without oxygen, you will have permanent, irreversible brain damage. If you go 7 minutes without oxygen, you'll be dead. You will be dead without oxygen within 7 minutes. Our body desperately needs that. That is a necessity for our body. Food. Now, I studied all of these. I studied these and researched all of these things. It is good to fast at times. There are times to fast, and there are times to eat. We are only meant to fast for so long. Our body needs food. So if you look at food, you need food. You need food for the nutrients, for energy, to sustain your organs. And you can go a while without food, but with about 45 days without food, you'll be a corpse. You'll be dead. Most research shows that. And the next one is water. No matter what kind of fast you do, there's really no reason not to go without water. Your body needs water desperately. Just going 1 day without water can really start to have ravishing effects on your body, on your organs, on your brain health. So you could go about 3 days without water. Within the 3rd day, you'll be dead. Shelter. And you think about this, who knows how long you could go without shelter? You could go a couple days, you could go many days, many months. The key element here are the weather elements. If there's extreme heat, or if there's particularly extreme cold, depending upon what the environment's like, is dependent upon how long you can survive without shelter. But we need shelter, we need home from the elements, from the cold and the heat, but also from rain and from snow and from wind and from animals and things of that nature. Keep us safe from those issues and those dangers. And then the next one is clothing, which I had to put here. It's a need that we have. Thank God everyone has clothes. If you don't have clothes, clothes are free to get in a lot of places. There are a lot of programs that give you free clothing, but we need to have clothes. I have clothes. Trust me, you don't want to see me naked. The next one is activity. God made our body and our mind to think, to work, to be active, to be used. If you start laying around and you don't use your mind and you don't use your body and you become lazy, it's just a matter of time that your body's going to get stiff. You're going to put on excessive weight. Your body's going to hurt and ache, and you're not going to feel good, and your body's not going to function and be as fluent, as flexible as it ought to be. So it's very important that we become active. And this doesn't mean all-out exercise. You could just keep active from walking daily, from just doing things. Maybe at your job, you're physically and mentally active to a certain degree. And that would be good just to stay active. Sleep. There is an epidemic today of lack of sleep. Some people have trouble falling asleep. Some people have trouble staying asleep. Some people have both problems. Some people then wake up in the morning for work unrefreshed, tired, feeling like they didn't get enough sleep because they didn't get enough sleep. Our body needs sleep. You can eat the best foods. You can exercise. You can do all the right things. But if you don't sleep, you're not going to get the benefits of those things. The way that I always think of is that in the day when we're awake, all of our body, all of our organs, every system in our body is working and active. When you sleep, that is the time, that is the only time that your body gets to rest and gets to heal. It is when you're sleeping, particularly when you're in a deep REM sleep, is when your body heals and restores. So if you're eating good food and if you're exercising, but you're not sleeping, your body doesn't have a chance to get the benefits of doing those practices. So it's very important to make sure you get enough sleep. After about 3 days without sleep, you're really you may not be dead, but you're really going to be in bad shape. Your mental acuity is going to be down. You're going to be physically exhausted, and you may start to begin to hallucinate, and you're really going to be a mess. So we really need to get our sleep. It's very important. The next one is temperature. Our body's natural temperature, the average temperature for the human body, is 98.6. So your body is always working, it's always trying hard to keep at that temperature. So if it's very hot, your body's trying to cool down, it's trying to come down to that temperature. If you're in a very cold environment, your body's trying to do its best and use its resources and use fat and its fuel to come up to that 98.6 mark. So, and this goes a little bit with shelter. If you're in a very hot or a very cold climate, that's going to have a very negative effect on you. In fact, every single year in the US and across the globe, many people die due to frostbite, due to freezing to death, or due to heat stroke. So people die from this. It's very important to try your best to be in a homeostasis kind of environment and to do the best that you can to make it easy for your body to stay at that 98.6 temperature that it's trying to stay at. And the last one, you might think it's a little bit odd, but it's love. To live the best life, we need love. God is love. And so God created every single human being. And you know what? If you're an animal or an alien, it's actually the same for you still. God made every person and all the animals, but particularly us humans, as we're made in the image of God. God made us with this thirst, this hunger, this need to want to love others and to be loved by others. And so if someone grows up being abused in as many forms of abuse, if they grow up feeling unloved, unaccepted, abused, they don't count, if there's verbal abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, any kind of abuse, that has a negative effect on a child. And that person, if they don't receive love and or healing of those hurts and wounds and lack of love, we grow up with issues. We grow up with all kinds of issues because we haven't received that love. And we are meant to have relationships in order that we can give love. God has given us love to give, to get and to give love. Both of those are very important. Now, I can't put, this isn't like oxygen where you'll die in 7 minutes. But there are physical and mental and spiritual and relational and all kinds of issues that people have today, all because they they did not receive love, and or maybe they did not give love. To live the best life, there has to be love involved. But that's all I have for now. I hope this video was a good one for you. I hope that it was very informative. I hope that you learned something. If you have any comments or questions, please let me know down below. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing to the channel. That would really help me out. But otherwise, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.